Here are some of the headlines up on Infowars.com. Ron Paul is saying Obama's Syria policy looks a lot like Bush's Iraq policy. Max Keiser, the collapse of the current bankster regime is upon us. He breaks that down. Journalist says TSA shamed my teenage daughter. Russian tycoon predicts immortality within 25 years. 14-year-old faces year in jail over pro-gun T-shirt. They say the image of the rifle is a terroristic threat. Thought crime. The next NSA snooping shoot a drop pre-crime. And it just goes on and on from there. Oh, and the French government's coming out and saying, look, we met with Britain 2 years ago about launching this current war. That's because the war started 2 years ago against Syria. Max, you were telling me you got some breaking news dealing with McDonald's. Tell us about it.
Oh, yeah, this just came out. McDonald's is now being sued by one of their workers because they've got a deal with J.P. Morgan where their payroll goes directly into a J.P. Morgan account. And J.P. Morgan then charges people $1.50 to use the ATM. Then they charge them $1 to just see what their balance is for a balance inquiry. They charge them 75 cents per online bill payment, $15 for a lost car.
And they force them to use that bank. I mean, that is slavery.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
That is, yeah. So
and that's what they're going to do when they get their cashless society completely in place. They've said it.
Yeah, I mean, in other words, getting back to what we were saying before, wages are never going to go up. I mean, they can raise the minimum wage to $8 or $9 and $10, but J.P. Morgan will just raise their fees by $1 an hour, $2 an hour, and they'll just put that money directly into J.P. Morgan's pocket. That's what we've seen now post-crash of 2008.
And that was my next point. You said this years ago. It's now on record. The NSA is there to give private companies intelligence on how to game the economy, the stock market, LIBOR, all of it. And that came out last week that indeed NSA is using this data to corner markets. I mean, it's incredible. They are waging war against real economies.
Well, there's a scandal of high-frequency trading. The traders who use this high-frequency trading, they're trading 1 billion times per second on the New York Stock Exchange and other exchanges. And they say that they're adding liquidity and they're making a market. Now it comes out that the regulators are releasing prices at a fraction of a second before they do release to the public to give insiders insider information. Then that came out at about the same time that the NSA PRISM story broke. So that confirms now. And also for congressional aides and others in Washington, insider trading is legal. It has not been outlawed. So here you have an NSA with unlimited computer power and 360-degree spy presence with a high-frequency trader on Wall Street that's totally captured all the regulators who are trading on inside information. So that's why the economy is the way it is. That's why people can't make enough to get ahead of inflation, while simultaneously the top 5,000 people they're billionaires, are increasing at 30 or 40% a year. That's how you do it.
Stay there, Max Keiser, because here's the rest of the story. We're going to get your take on this when we come back. The globalists are then funding socialism and fake grassroots communism to then scapegoat the giant poor mass off against what's left of the middle class to usher in total social control.
Now you can watch Alex Jones live at Infowars.com/show.
You'll find links to all of our content there and a free 15-day trial for Prison Planet TV.
You can also browse the network, the Infowars Nightly News,
and over 60 movies and documentaries all together in one place.
You can watch the Alex Jones radio show live as it happened.
So check it out, Infowars.com/show.
Look at this. Sesame Street says P is for prison, and that's okay. Everything. They show police stomping some guy and breaking his arm on the cover of the New York Times and say, police arrest a protester. It's like they just are preparing us for total enslavement. And all the kleptocratic class and the media and the government and corporations think it's going to protect them. I'll get Max Keiser's take on that and more coming up. But right now, let's go to calls as promised for Max Keiser Mike in Oregon, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey guys, how's it going? I just want to thank you a lot for getting me on the show.
Thank you, brother.
And I just want to, yeah, no problem. Hey Max, I'm a guy who's making about $12,000-$13,000 a year. What can I do as a small investor to give my money more purchase power? Should I invest into prison places or defense contractors? I was going to see what take I could get from you on which way to go.
Well, that's a good question because the way the economy is set up is it forces people to pick sides like this. And it's just like Nazi Germany. People knew that people were being sent to the gas oven, but they were benefiting from the gold that was being extracted from the teeth and the clothes that were being stolen and the wealth that was being stolen. Mm-hmm. And isn't it sad that in America people have to make this choice, that they don't get paid adequately? So with the money they do get paid, should they invest in Monsanto, the agricultural terrorist? Should they invest in Corrections Corps of America, the prison gulag industrial complex? Should they invest in Microsoft, the copyright terrorist? It's sad. But I hear what you're saying, and I can't say it's a bad idea because ultimately you have to think of your family's survival. So if it means putting a few extra dollars to work, I mean, if Al-Qaeda could go public on the New York Stock Exchange and give people in America the same way to make money in Al-Qaeda that Obama does, that Cheney does, that Donald Rumsfeld does, I think that would be a lot fairer.
That's right. Well, Al-Qaeda's only for them to do insider trading to start wars and stuff.
That's right. But why can't they do Al-Qaeda an offering on the New York Stock Exchange? The symbol could be AQ.
Well, wait a minute. They did 7 years ago. They came out with a trading thing on terrorism.
Yeah, the policy analysis market based on my technology. And John Poindexter introduced it. They quickly shut it down, but they do it now, insiders. I'm saying they need to make that available to the public and allow people to invest directly into Al-Qaeda, since they're now employing Al-Qaeda to kill people in Syria. I mean, Americans need the opportunity to make the same amount of profits on Al-Qaeda that Rumsfeld and Obama and Cheney and Biden are doing. I mean, that's only fair.
That's what's so insane about all of this, Max, is that I study this 18 hours a day, as I know you do, and it's so crazy, I can't even believe it at this point, and it only gets crazier each day. I appreciate your call, Mike. We're going to come back and take more calls here. My phone just went crazy and just answered and just went nuts. My phone was just sitting here, and it just picked up and went to some kind of crazy, wasn't even touching it. My phone has just gone completely insane. Guys, will you take my phone out of the room, please? Thank you. I'm going to try to reset my thought and find out that was bizarre. Yeah, it's like the announcement that they're going to have government-forced announcements over your phones, NSA two-way. I'm going to try to come back, and I'm talking about how the world's gotten so bizarre and crazy, I can't even deal with it anymore, and my phone just starts, like, making, like I was on the top of a mountain or something. It's like, I'm sure it's just a glitch. Let me reset there and come back with Max Keiser to try to ask that question again. Many anthropologists and archaeologists believe that before man even discovered the power to harness and use fire, we were involved in agrarian activities. That is, taking the seeds of plants and then replanting them to produce more. The very foundation of our modern civilization and human culture is centered around the planting and cultivation of edible plants, fruits, vegetables, nuts, you name it. And the globalists have been going after gardening. They've been harassing people that have gardens in their front yards or their backyards. They've called for licenses for people to have gardens because you can't trust prisoners in the police state America to be able to grow their own food. That's why I've come to the realization that we need to become self-sufficient. You need to be informed. You need to have the Second Amendment to protect yourself. You need to be politically active to wake up others. You need to filter your water. But you also need to plant a garden. Even if you live in an apartment, you can do this. If you live in the countryside, obviously you can do it on a grand scale. There are so many green belts in areas that humans don't even visit, nearby cities and in suburbs, where people are now more and more planting their own little private gardens and meadows and off the side of the road. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a revolutionary act to unplug from the television, to unplug from the computer and all the globalist propaganda, and to go out in your backyard or your front yard or planters at your apartment or on the roof of the building where you live, and to plant a garden.
Here are some of the amazing deals at InfoWars Seed Center at InfoWarsShop.com. The Survival Seed Vault by My Patriot Supply features only the finest survival heirloom seeds for a robust and hardy garden, even in the toughest of times. The ARC All-in-One Seed Kit contains 70 varieties of 50,000 seeds of fruits, vegetables, medicinal, and culinary herbs. All ARC seeds are heirloom. Each type is labeled and sealed separately for ease of use and longevity. The Deluxe Emergency Seed Bank combines 3 of Emergency Seed Bank's top sellers: the Family Survival Emergency Seed Bank, the Medicinal Herb Seeds Pack, and the Culinary Herb Seeds Pack. We also have starter varieties of the deluxe seed packages for fruit, salad, salsa, peppers, and medicinal herbs and more. Go to the InfoWars Seeds Center at InfoWarsShop.com.
A little seed can grow a huge tree that produces fruit for up to 50 years. We have the best life bombs. That's what these are. We have the best weapons against death out there at the lowest prices, waiting for you to lovingly plant them and lovingly grow them and lovingly eat them and share them with others. We will strike back against the New World Order, and this is only one more initiative in our fight against them. So please join us at InfoWarsShop.com, or you can link through at Infowars.com at the InfoWars Seed Center. As we went to break, I was trying to get the question out to Max Keiser before we go back to your calls. He joins us now from the UK, a great financial and geopolitical analyst, in my view, that I study this stuff. I don't want to exaggerate. I don't work as hard as I used to, maybe 16 hours a day. Some days I work 20 hours a day, but on average about 16 hours a day. And I mean, I know I'm telling the truth. I know I'm very accurate. I know, as crazy as this show sounds, that unfortunately I'm overall telling the truth. I'm trying to tell the truth. I try to disprove what I'm saying, and it just gets crazier and crazier. So I look out into the future. Yes, the technocrats have the NSA spying and have all the economic insider data. And yes, they've got these militaries. And yes, they've got... But I talk to the military. Most of them are waking up. I talk to the public. They're waking up. Confidence in newspapers is an all-time record lows. Confidence in Obama, all-time low. 17 points lost the last month by under 30s. I mean, he's just imploding. Congress lowest approval rating of 10% ever. I've seen one of 9, but Salon and others and Breitbart say it's 10. Gallup says that's the lowest ever. So there's some positive things, but it's kind of like Greece or Spain or Mexico. You know the government's corrupt, but it just kind of settles into the police wear a black mask, you're a slave, sewage runs down the street. And then up on the hill and palaces, the rich people live up there. And so is there a way to extricate ourselves from this madness? Because I mean, things are getting crazy so much faster. It's almost like a quickening or a singularity of corruption. Max, do you see a light at the end of the tunnel, a way to get out of this? And if we don't, how do you see it ending?
Well, I thought it was very interesting, referring back to the Edward Snowden comments today. When asked about encryption, he said that encryption does work. Encryption does keep the snoops at bay. And immediately it got me, thinking again about Bitcoin, which is a cryptocurrency. It's a completely encrypted currency. And I really believe that this is going to help us get to the promised land by having an economy outside of the Wall Street's ability to corrupt it. And that doesn't say that Bitcoin can't be used in levered products. I'm sure at some point it will, but the underlying source code of Bitcoin is incorruptible thanks to the genius of its creation, which I think is going to go down in history as one of the most ingenious inventions ever, right there with the light bulb and a few other ingenious inventions. And so I think that Bitcoin came at the right time. It's a path to salvation, not to put too rosy a glow on it. And we had confirmation today from Edward Snowden that encryption does work. It is a powerful force against government intrusion.
Well, what it makes them do is have to spend more time cracking it. And so we shouldn't just make it easy for them, and we shouldn't use Facebook. We shouldn't use Twitter. I use it, but as a way to jack in and fight the system. But as a general public, Google, all of it, whatever you can do using a proxy like startpage.com, whatever you can do to not make it easy on them is key. My problem is we run advertising. And the last 3 companies that we've used to run our advertising software get bought by Google. So, Max, what do you do when the monopoly just buys everything up? I think that goes back to the last caller saying, what do you do when they own the whole economy and it's impossible to even operate outside of their system? That's what Monsanto and all of them admit they're going for.
Yeah, I admit that that's a growing problem because the money used to buy up all the assets is gifted to them through 0% interest rates. And that's one of the problems of having 0% interest rates. It leads to what are called malinvestments. There are malinvestments for society at large. It's great if you're an insider and a kleptocrat, but if you're somebody who's not, it really has to be classified as a malinvestment. But we are, as I point out in my article for InfoWars today, exclusive, I might add, there is also crowdfunding, which is interesting because you are bypassing the usual routes of money raising, and a lot of interesting projects are now being financed using crowdfunding platforms, which are outside of the machinations of Wall Street. So I think that's another alternative economic model that's rising. If you combine the two with Bitcoin and crowdfunding, which is something that's an interesting combination, I think that would be a powerful force. I mean, it requires a lot of out-of-the-box thinking, a lot of technologically aware thinking. And I just don't want to throw in the towel and say that we're all going to be living in this NSA pre-crime bubble of casino gulagism. I mean, I have to hold out some hope that ingenuity and people like Edward Snowden, in my mind, and Glenn Greenwald, I mean, this is what America has produced. It produced at least 2 people that are embodied the spirit of the Founding Fathers. There's at least 2, Edward Snowden and Glenn Greenwald. So at least we have 2 people carrying the torch of America 238 years later. Maybe they'll get to a place where they can start to beat back and force down these interlocutors. These
sure. I don't want to hog you anymore. I want to go to these phone calls for you, but you were mentioning at the end of the last hour how McDonald's made a deal, and there's a lawsuit over this, with one of the big private central banks to put their money only in that account and then charge them money to be able to look at their money or get money out, which is a form of total slavery. And that's out of the Philadelphia Daily News. But here's another one. Sesame Street says P is for prison, and that's okay. And then during the break, I was going and reading the transcript of the shows, the new Sesame Street shows. It teaches the kids how to become prisoners and how that's their future, and how to drink and have guns and all this stuff. I mean, everything is a primer. I saw a few months ago where in New Mexico and other states, they have whatever Wackenhut's new name is, I forget the exact headline, in there as school security, priming the kids for prison, and you have deals with the states saying, we promise to put this many people in prison, if you'll move to our state. I mean, it's incredible. We have a bigger prison population than anybody in the world.
Well, you're referring to Corrections Corps of America. They made a deal with several states, several municipalities, where they will take over the cost of running the prisons for those states if the state guarantees 98% occupancy. Of course, the only way the state can guarantee that is if they just make a lot of arrests and throw a lot of people in prison, regardless of any due process. But that was okay for many states in America and many municipalities.
It's just amazing. They're engineering the economy into this predatory system, and no wonder a lot of cops walk around and act like goons. That's who they want. That's who they're hiring. Let's go to Jay. He wants to talk about the big sign of the crash. Jay, you're on the air with Max Kaiser.
Hey, gentlemen, real pleasure to speak with you. Hey, listen, being as that I believe we're just about at the end, the Constitution is literally hanging by a thread. My question is, what is the sign financially, at least for you guys, that's going to say, you know what, that's it, I'm packing up, I'm heading out?
Well, I've decided to go down with the ship. I'm taking 100% of the profits that come in here, 100%, and putting them, I mean, I haven't paid myself in a long time, into trying to build this operation in the face of it. I have hope. I believe we can turn the tide. Look at how many people are waking up. And I have hope what Max just said, that people in the system are going to show some more courage. Because I'm here to tell you, folks, your kids out there have no future. If so many yuppies and businessmen and smart people think they're safe on the sidelines, think again. Max Keiser, what's the sign for you that the implosion is about to accelerate?
Well, two signs. I mean, as we talked about,
yeah, sorry, Max, your phone cut out. Go ahead and say that again.
It's one interest rate.
Okay, we're going to have to reconnect with Max Keiser. Jay, I appreciate your call. I'm going to try to get his point on that. Look, the Pentagon admits now they're gearing up for economic disaster. We had an article last week that Drudge Report linked to where Homeland Security, DHS, is buying all this riot gear and putting them in pre-placed caches all over the country. And then you say, hey, it looks like the derivatives are going to implode and there's no way to pay them back. It's not our debt. You're gearing up for martial law. Here's your training manual. Your enemies, the Tea Party? Your enemies, gun owners? Veterans? Really? And they're like, yeah. So we have Max back. His phone degraded. What are the signs again, Max Keiser?
Yeah, hopefully you can hear me. Just a couple of things. One is interest rates as they go up. That's a sign not of growth but of bond panic, as I've been saying for a few months. And then you saw a story last week. 10,000 people lined up in China at a shop to buy gold. So even though gold has been trending down in price, it hasn't scared people out of gold. It has encouraged thousands, tens of thousands of people in China and elsewhere outside of the American echo chamber to be buying physical gold. That's a huge sign. That should tell you volumes about where this thing is going.
Absolutely. We're going to go to break and come back with the final segment with Max Keiser. I'll try to go to your calls quickly. I had tried everything. I'd cut back the amount of food I was eating. I was lifting weights and jogging, but nothing was working. My body was literally starving for minerals and trace elements as well as key vitamins. And as soon as I had that, I immediately could eat half of what I was eating previously and be satisfied. Now, there are hundreds of great products at InfoWarsTeam.com, but I want to point out the three that have helped me lose 37 pounds in just 2 months. Products like Beyond Tangy Tangerine, Pollen Burst, and Rebound. When I started taking the Tangy Tangerine and other products every day, I lost more than 37 pounds in just 2 months. Now that's results. I want to challenge my listeners to go to InfoWarsTeam.com and to order just 3 of their products, and you will see the changes in the way you look, feel, and in your appetite almost immediately. Start your journey to health and wellness today. InfoWarsTeam.com. Ben Bernanke.
You're the devil in disguise.
Is a little devil. Real quick question, number one, right to these calls, Max Keiser. Do you expect the Federal Reserve to start tapering, giving themselves unlimited free cash? I mean, the markets are acting like they believe that's happening, or will they continue the pumping?
They will definitely continue until there's a bond crash.
So why are the markets going down in anticipation of a tapering?
Because the Federal Reserve likes to play the market, and they trade on inside information. They tell people beforehand. Bernanke tells people, "Okay, I'm going to talk about tapering," and everyone piggybacks that trade. And then he'll come back and say, "Oh no, I spoke too soon," and then everyone piggybacks that trade.
Exactly. So it's milking the schmucks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I did it myself many, many times. It's just exactly what a stockbroker does to milk their clients, but done on a multi-trillion-dollar level. This is exactly the same game any broker does with their clients. They scare them into selling and then get their greed up to buy. It's just the same exact thing, but a multi-trillion-dollar.
Unbelievable. Kathy, you're on the air. Thanks for holding. Go ahead.
Hi, Alex. Hello, Max. I'm from South Carolina, and the reason I'm calling today is because we had a tuberculosis outbreak in a county here in South Carolina, and patient A was medically detained by the Department of Health and Environmental Control. Apparently there was a new law in 2011 that allows them to do that.
Oh, yeah. Let people in from all over the world with leprosy and TB, but then once they get here and spread it, they're going to lock you up, yeah. You have a question for Max on that?
Yeah.
Max, you want to comment on that? Medical tyranny?
Not really. I mean, it's not really in my area of specialty, but it sounds bad.
Yeah. Kathy, what do you think about it?
Well, it's kind of disturbing to me because I think it sets a precedent for just detaining somebody when they say that, okay, well, you have an illness, and now we're going to detain you for 30 days.
It's very, very dangerous, absolutely. There's some reasonable reasons for quarantines or something like Ebola or something, but they're definitely using medical tyranny as an excuse to push things that are far more dangerous. Here's one. Saudi Arabia announces 4 new deaths from MERS virus. Let's take another call here. Let's talk to Brendan. You're on the air with Max Keiser. What's your question?
Hi, Max and Alex. Some of my patrons at my business have become fans of MaxKeiser.com and Infowars.com by trying to disprove what I've told them in the past. However, some devotees of Paul Krugman and CNBC and others are eager to tell me I told you so regarding the price of gold. And I wondered if Max could give a nutshell explanation on how the price is basically at the same price that it costs to extract the gold from the ground, and give a little assurance to those friends of mine who actually...
Well, I mean, I'll say this. They can manipulate gold all day. They're on record doing it. They can manipulate the value of gold down for a while, but they're only building a paper bubble. I haven't sold any gold I've bought, and just tell them, believe in the system, and just go down with the ship. Max Keiser.
Well, the supply of bonds has never been higher. In America's 238-year history, bonds have never, the supply has never been higher, and the yield up until a few weeks ago has never been lower. The bond market's in a massive bubble. Gold, on the other hand, the demand has never been higher. Physical demand, never been higher around the world. A physical demand, and the price is pulled in from the high of 1900 back to the...
Yeah, there are articles bemoaning that the Chinese and Indians and Americans won't sell their gold because there's the real market and then there's the paper market.
Right, so Paul Krugman is an academic like Ben Bernanke, and he'll tell you on paper why this is this way and this is that way, but people in China lining up 10,000 strong to buy gold don't read his white papers. They just see an economy coming to ruin, and they're protecting themselves, and eventually they will overcome this physical barrier.
That's right.
That is the artificial price suppression. But the problem is that the price can very easily jump quite dramatically to above the $2,000 level, and then if you're not prepared, you will have the satisfaction of believing Paul Krugman's wrong ideological claptrap for 6 months, but having not have any gold.
Folks, read his exclusive article for Infowars.com. Keiser, the collapse of the current bankster regime is upon us. It could be true. Max, I'm drafting you. I know your girlfriend, your betrothed is there, and you guys want to go to dinner, but do 3 more minutes on the other side. I want you to expand on where you think this collapse is going and talk about gold briefly. Then I'll let you take 1 more call from Paul, who wants to ask you who controls the world. Then massive news blitz and more calls. We're going in, through, and beyond. I'm Alex Jones, and this is The InfoWar.
Now you can watch the InfoWars Nightly News streaming live as it happens for free.
Check it out at Infowars.com/show.